want to skip a couple of questions because of something you said earlier. Order. You had mentioned um, on the Chardonnays. When I was looking at your tech sheets, I thought it was interesting that you were handwriting your tech sheets and posting those. And you also, I mean, I've been told or taught that a couple things. One, um, that oak is a reduction pan and spice rack. You only use about 5 to 10% new oak, and a lot of it is neutral oak. So you're using more of that spice, that reduction pan aspect to really bring out the fruit component and sense of place that you had mentioned. That if you're using all this new oak, why it's going to hide that sense of place from these single vineyards that you're using. And then I also thought it was interesting that you spend a lot of time on the lees, not mallow. And I remember Bo Barrett saying to me one time that California Chardonnay does not need mallow, everything ripens.
Well, there's some truth to what you're saying. The key thing is what you're talking about when you're talking about a lot of neutral barrels is you're talking about Chardonnay. With Chardonnay, I'm really focused on Russian River. If I was buying grapes from other parts of California, I might have a different attitude about Chardonnay. But my experience suggests to me that to get what I'm looking for in Chardonnay from California, I'm much better off using a lot less new oak. There's something beautiful and delicate about Russian River Chardonnay character that, at its best in my mind, that is better framed by more neutral oak. And yes, I like to leave it on the lees. I think that adds complexity, and it actually goes through malolactic. I'm not really sure why you thought maybe it wasn't. I'm pretty sure on those, if it says no under malolactic on those tech sheets, then I have to go back and correct it. But yeah, I don't really. I've come to the point. At one point, I was really concerned about making sure it went through malolactic, partly because I was thinking I was going to bottle them without filtration, and we can get into a whole thing about filtering if you want to. But and so, in order to be able to bottle something without filtering it, it really has to be biologically stable to the extent, at least, of not having something that yeast or the bacteria that are already in the wine are likely to be able to deal with. Like malic acid. So, but since I decided more recently that I'm liking the way the wines turn out even better once I've had a chance to clarify them, and I do a very specific type of filtration now called cross flow filtration, which is really different from what the old filtrations used to be like, plate and frame, or there's a couple of other variations of it, but basically that's it. Is much more intrusive. So, yeah, I'm looking for something that, on the flip side of that, though, with Pinot, I don't know if you looked at the Pinot tech sheets, but it depends on the single vineyard wine, but it can be up to 100% new barrels. It's just really difficult for me to want to leave out a barrel that's really delicious just because it's a new barrel. I really like the way that that new French oak impacts Pinot, and Cabernet my Cabernet program is 100% new barrels every year. It's the way that the best Bordeaux wines are made, and I also believe that almost all of the best California wines, the most expensive California wines, are almost always 100% new barrels. So that's where we go.
You promised your wife to start making Cabernet if she left Virginia and moved to California. How did you two meet, and can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, we met through, believe it or not, through Facebook, and it was one of those kind of crazy stories. I don't know, in the beginning times of Facebook, there was a bunch of people who, would always want to try to be your friends. And I was thinking, for me, why? Why do these people think they want to be friends with me on Facebook? And it finally sunk through my head that they just are curious about what a wine guy does, on a regular basis. So I didn't really make it into just a, kind of a business thing, but I wanted to, include personal stuff as well as what I'm doing for 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 winemaking. And so I embraced the idea that there could be a lot of people that I don't really know very well or at all. So I'm looking through one day on Facebook and I see this picture. And I think I can actually show it to you. Try it again here. That picture.
Okay.
And I and I and then below it, so it's this young man had put up his picture of his mother. It says, "Check out my mom, isn't she hot?" And so I'm looking at this picture, and of course, if you've ever done anything on Facebook, which would be kind of hard to believe that people that are watching this haven't done it, you have some options. You can, write some kind of crazy thing like, "Oh yeah, she's really hot," or you can do nothing, or you can hit the like button and move on. And I hit the like button and moved on. Next thing I know, I'm getting an email from this guy. His name is Sungjin Park. And he says, "No, I think you'd really like my mom. I think you should meet her." So I have I have no idea where they even live, right? So I said, "Well, yeah, if you're ever, in the Napa Valley, let me know. It'd be nice to meet you and your mom." And so, like, another half hour goes by and goes, "Are you around this weekend?" I'm like, "Well, I'm here Friday and Saturday, but Sunday I have to go to Texas." And he says, "I'm bringing my mom to meet you." So we met because her son had put a picture of her up on Facebook. That's how I met. And then yes, we fell in love. I was talking about her moving to California. She was very comfortable in Virginia, and she had some doubts about necessarily having to move to California. And one of which she tried to use was, "I don't really like Pinot Noir that much anyway. I'd rather drink Bordeaux or Napa Valley Cabernet." So I said, "Fine, I'll make Cabernet for you someday." And I guess that did the trick. She moved to California, and so when passed, this was like 11 years ago now. If I said, so when Patz and Hall was sold, and I was getting ready to start over again, I knew that I should anyway follow through with my promise, and it's been fun. And out of that came an additional wine out of Secret Door called JML, which includes her picture on it. It's a really interesting line drawing that was done by a really lovely young artist, Ellery Fletcher. And so we have JML.
That's cute. That's nice.
Well, we sell interestingly, and my wife is Korean. We sell quite a bit of it in Korea, and they heard that story, and it says JML on it, but they call it JM Love. So yeah, it is. It is a function of love, I think. But I think a lot of winemaking revolves around love.
It has to be. I think it's a passion. I tell people you could have retired, but
No,
after
my wife tells me I should have retired, and she reminds me daily that we probably would be better off if I had retired. So, but yes, I could have.
but I tell people, I go, I've been in this industry for so long, I kind of feel it's like a line out of Shawshank Redemption that you become institutionalized. That's all you know is this industry, and you just find a different thing to do within it because you like it so much. Also,
It is. It's really fascinating to me that I see that we talk a lot about some of the younger generations and whether they're going to ever embrace wine, and a couple of things. I think it's sort of, first of all, sort of baffling to me that they don't seem to be that interested, at least as interested. But it turns out, I read something really interesting. It turns out that baby boomers didn't really embrace wine, especially relatively expensive variations of it, until the average age, the fat part of the bell curve, hit 40. So we have some time.
the the millennials, don't have brand loyalty, and they seem to spend more than some of these baby boomers I'm seeing, or from what I've.
I think I've heard similar things, but I think one of the things I've always loved about wine is the exploration. So if you're exploring wine and you're curious about it and you want to try different things, that's great. Um, but some of the stuff that I've seen come out, it just baffles me. I don't understand it.